Hello and good evening. Welcome everyone to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Racing League Superspeedway Cup Series here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway. So they're going to be starting on race number 10 of 12. So going into this after last week's race, Raymond Rittenauer's really closed that gap up. You can see only 16 points between the top three. Still Gabe Butler leading the way over Kevin Fries. However, like I mentioned, Raymond Rittenauer closing the gap there up into third. Or I should say still in third, but closing the gap. Eric Laurie in fourth. Corey Lane jumps up into the fifth spot. Jack Walls actually tied for fifth with Corey Lane. Then we have Dean Wilkinson, Matt Quick, Bud Steele, and Thomas Holder rounding out our top 10 in the points. So qualifying going on tonight. So after tonight we've got two more to crown a season 6 champion for the Area 51 Racing League Super Speedway Cup Series. Yeah, say it's going to be definitely, it looks like a team fight, though, between those top three, the 1, the 25, and the 87. So and actually just kind of by chance, I got to have a chance to run with them at a different group last night, and we definitely kind of got a little bit of an inside look of how they work and the teamwork and just what they're able to do. And yeah, it really kind of, it really helped me kind of see why they're so successful in this series here as well. So it was a lot of fun to be a part of that with them last night. And yeah, so definitely going to be, again, I think these guys are going to be the group to contend with, to have a chance at the win. You're going to have to beat any of those three for sure. And of course, you got to include some of their other teammates as well in tonight's event. Like the number 8 of Dude Conrad, as well as the 71, I should say, of Eric Laurie. So I say they've got a really stout team here with the Super Speedway Cup Series. So yeah, we'll see if anybody can kind of dethrone that group here this evening. And also I have to add, Travis Turnmeyer are also part of that group in the 51 machine. So they don't want to leave any of their teammates out. Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out here this tonight, though, in just a few moments. Alright, with that, we're going to pull up our starting grid for tonight's event. Getting the pole, though, is going to be that 25 of Kevin Fries. So he's going to get a bonus point to help try to close that gap over the number 1 of Gabe Butler, who, as you can see, going to qualify right next to him in that second spot. I mentioned the teammates. So you got Travis Turnmeyer there in third, Dude Conrad in fourth. Then in fifth, you got the number 10 of Corey Ling, Todd Merkel in sixth. Seventh is Dean Wilkinson, James Ledford rounding out our top 8, apologies. 9th through 16th, you've got Eric Laurie, Rob Malone, Brandon Pasalacqua, John Brill, Roy Grandy, Taylor Litzenberger, Robbie Richards, and Michael Spell. And this is the group of drivers that are going for the starting from the back strategy, including our points contender, the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer. Then you got Jack Walls, Jimmy Crow, Kyle Hess, Dwight Plush, Jim Brooks, Thomas Holder, and Brian Pierce. So we joked about it a little bit a few nights ago. So you see that number 10 of Corey Lane. Corey and I were joking that we're gonna have to give him a little bit of extra TV time for we were racing together in an Indy series with the DW12 cars, and I accidentally wound up taking him out at one point in the race. So we were joking that I'll have to kind of make up for it by giving him some extra TV time this evening. So that's gonna be the 10 car there of Corey Lane. And actually, Corey Lane going to kind of cycle through here to become our pole sitter, as we've got some strategy afoot with some of these drivers. I'm looking at Kevin Fries, Gabe Butler, Travis Turnmeyer, Dude Conrad, as well as Eric Laurie and Rob Malone, Raymond Rittenauer, and Jimmy Crow. We'll keep an eye and it looks like, though, all these drivers, though, they're going to have a big group here starting from the pits tonight. So say they're going for a different strategy call this evening, opting to start in the back here, starting from the pit lane even. So we'll see how this one's going to shake out. It could be interesting to see how the strategy is going to pan out for them. So definitely going to keep an eye on them once we get going. The way it works though with these cars, with iRacing, is once the green flag flies and the field clears the pit exit, I believe that's when the drivers in the pits are able to be released and get going. So we'll jump over to our scheduled pole sitter right there, the 25 Ken Freeze, and you can see lined up with him, he's got all those teams. You see the 1, the 51, the 8, you see the 071 and the 52 as well. And I suspect we'll see the 87 Raymond Rittenauer. He'll probably pop up there as well here shortly. And we'll see about the 39, I should say, of Jimmy Crow as well. So the thing for them though is they got to make sure that they get all lined up together, make sure none of them lose the draft here, because that's going to play a big role in it. So with that though, we'll say with everything that's gone on, that's going to cycle things through here. So front row now going to be actually our 5th and 6th place qualifiers of Corey Lane and Todd Merkel. And you got Dean Wilkinson, James Ledford going to be in row number 2 as pace car is about to drop off. And so initial start is going to be on the green flag, so that number 10 car of Corey Lane going to have to wait for that green flag to fly. And then once it does, we will be underway. As I said, that green flag is out, and we are now underway here at iRacing Superspeedway. 75 laps is the scheduled distance for tonight's event. And actually, we're starting to roll out there from those that started in the pits. Keep an eye on them. It does not look like, unfortunately, I don't believe I see Jimmy Crow here taking, getting rolling there as well. So unfortunately, looks like not taking a part in tonight's event, so he will be scored in the 25th position. However, up front though, you can see Corey Lane still leading the way. I say a really cool looking paint scheme there too. So you got the say again, Corey, a native of New Zealand, so he's got the New Zealand colors on that car. So really good looking paint scheme there. And no bias from what happened after taking him out on Wednesday evening. Looks like Corey gonna lead lap number 1 here. So getting a lot of help from Dean Wilkinson, Brandon Pasalaco. Looks like these guys all kind of just right now holding pretty steady file. Not a lot of aggression right now. People are trying to move around here and there. Fuel windows sounds like it's going to be roughly in the 20 lap window. So suspect we will see 3 pit stops for the race this evening. And I don't think we'll see too much strategy there. I think we'll see everybody in the late teens, early 20s hit the pit stops for their scheduled distances. However, that pit entry is a treacherous one. The big transition in the banking, from the banking to the flat, that's really where you can have to be careful. And of course, having to drop down from about 240 miles an hour most likely down to, I believe it's 60 to 65 miles an hour here. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. So we'll jump back to our second group, which is currently being led by the number 8 of Dude Conrad. You can see him there leading this charge here with this group up front. Right behind him's got the 51 of Travis Turnmeyer. And then you see you got Kevin Freeze, Gabe Butler, Raymond Rittenauer, and Rob Malone. So I say it's a good group of drivers here. I mean, you've got, I believe it's 8 of them here. Say, double check my math. There actually might be 7. Yeah, I believe 7 of them here. However, so you can see right there, and this is what we saw last week here. You got the one, you had the 51 there pushing the 8 for as long as he could, and as soon as that 51 gets hot, the car that's leading that group, he's going to jump to the top, and then they're going to kind of keep cycling through there. So then you'll see the 8, he's going to drop back into the back there, and you're going to see him cycle through. And this is going to be their race strategy here. This is how they're going to kind of make up lap time. And so what we're going to have to watch and see is that lap time is going to be the first thing we're going to be watching. And then also, of course, just see how the gap's closing and what they're able to do here. So right now everybody's still holding pretty steady here. It looks like a lot of, not a lot of aggression here early on. As you see the 55 Dean Wilkinson, he jumps to the top, however, does not get any help. Maybe was also getting hot. He's had to jump to the top side. That's going to cycle it through now to Brandon Pasalaco, who's going to lead the second group, or lead this first group, I should say. And again, we're going to be talking about lap times. That's going to be one of the big things to watch. And right now, Corey Lane leading the first group. He is running in the 53.578 that last time by. That second group, again, being led now by Kevin Freeze. He's running in the 43 151. So again, about 4/10 of a second the last time by quicker for that team in the back there, who all started from the pit. So as you can see, they're about 16 seconds off the lead. So we'll see if they're able to kind of claw that gap back down here. So right now, one of the early movers of this group is Brendan Pastelacco. Started in 11th. He is up into second here. Also moving forward there as well is the 88 of Michael Stell. I'll say he's gone from 16th to 5th. And then right behind him, the number 2, Taylor Litzenberger. Taylor's gone from the 14th position to the 6th spot. So you got, again, a few new faces. Say Taylor, I believe one of the newer faces to the Superspeedway series. So again, really nice to see some drivers here jumping on board and being a part of this one. So yeah, so say we'll see what Taylor's able to do this evening. And also, I believe we got a new paint scheme, if I'm not mistaken, for that 12 of Robbie Richards. You can see that white, looks like the white SpaceX Dragon machine on that number 12 car. It's a good looking paint scheme. I'd say simple, but I'd say it gets the job done. A really good looking car there. Alright, still watching lap time. So Corey Lane's still running up front, 43.7s for him. We'll jump back and try to find, looks like Gabe Butler now leading the way in the 1 car. He's in the 43.5s that last time around. So again, about 2/10 of a gain for that second group there that started from the pits. So right now, if you're that 10 car in Corey Lane, I mean, you obviously like what you're seeing right here. The only thing that might be a cause for a little bit of concern from that number 10 car is the potential of you're going to be the one that's leading this pack here. You're going to be using the most fuel out of everybody. So just got to make sure that you're going to be okay on your fuel numbers here. So that's going to be the big thing to be careful for this evening, to make sure he can make it on the same pit strategy as the rest of the field here. Like while all that was going on, unfortunately, the 90 John Grill, he's lost the draft. You can see he's starting to, he's definitely lost the draft of this lead pack, so he's going to kind of fall into the clutches of the group behind him. And I say it's one of those things that he's still going about 210, 220 miles an hour on his own. But the problem is though, when you've got this lead pack here all running in the 240s, 250s nearly, there's only so much you can do to keep up there. So. So John's best chance now is to try to tag onto that second group, so that's going to be what he's going to have to keep an eye on. Again, looking at the lap times, Eric Laurie now leading that second pack. His last time by, it looks like they were pretty even, about 43.8 to 43.8. So that last time by, it looks like everybody holding pretty steady here up front. And of course, about halfway through this first fuel run, and saying that's going to be the next thing is, I mean, to bring up is 10 more laps or so, and we're going to get our first set of green flag pit stops. And as we mentioned, this track is a very, very difficult one. Definitely by far the most difficult plate race to hit the pits on, or I guess I should say most difficult super speedway to hit the pits in. However, the question is going to be how they stagger. Is this whole first group going to try to pit together? Do they stagger it out a little bit? Because I think that's going to be also where this field's really going to get spread out as well. Also got to give a shout out to that 44 Dwight Plush. Dwight getting, I believe it was a third place finish in the, I want to say it was in the Indy Series in that number 44 machine. So unfortunately I wasn't able to pull an interview with him. But yeah, I just definitely want to give a shout out to that number 44 Kingsford Chevrolet there up Dwight Plush. Is really awesome to see. I think Dwight's definitely one of those guys that everybody wants to see him do well, and say when he does have the breaks to get those great results. It's always a well received result from the rest of his competitors as well. So you can see right now Dwight's actually getting a really good push now from that 55 machine of Dean Wilkinson, who's also bringing that number 18 of Roy Grandy here right with him. So I was kind of catching a little bit of a glimpse of Roy during the practice event. So he's got a pretty happy helmet in that car. You can kind of see it there just through the moment through the backstretch. Well, actually, I think you can pull it up here as well. You can see that Roy's rocking the happy face, smiley face helmet there tonight. So maybe he'll be smiling as well if he can get a top 3 finish here this evening. I'll say right now showing just right around the top 10, which is just about where he started tonight. So right now everything's still leading towards that number 10 of Corey Lane. So everybody's kind of content just to kind of push him, but like I mentioned, though, they are starting to move a little bit, kind of doubling up a little bit here. Again, you see the 44 Dwight Plush. He's starting to take the top side again. The 55 Dean Wilkinson giving a really good push here, getting really good momentum on that top side. So I'll have to keep an eye again on that one. Lap time wise, still they're running that second group running in the 43.4s. Compared to 43.7 for the leaders last time by. So again, about 0.3 up for that second group. You can see that gap has dropped from about 15 to 14 seconds. So they are definitely making inroads here at the moment. Again, still a long ways to go, but at the same time as well, still a long ways left in this race. Just inside of that 44 Dwight Plush, you saw the 81 there of Todd Northwood. Todd right now running just inside the top 5. So they started in 6, so right around where he started tonight's event. He's got that 80 of Michael Spell right behind him. So as you can see, a little bit of movement there. You saw the 12 Rodney Richards. Probably, I don't think he was trying to get underneath the 18 of Roy Grant. You can see they've kind of got settled back in again there. And so that's one of these things here on this track is you have to be careful when you're trying to work with some of these guys around you, as it's very easy to get into somebody unintentionally just with the pace of these cars. And the other thing you just saw right there, if you're entering on that low side, got to make sure you don't touch that apron on the entry, because it will just wash you right up into anything that's on out to your outside basically. So and whenever you're running that middle groove, you're always having to be a little bit cautious to make sure you don't get into any trouble here. Also, of course, got to mention last week's winner, number 83 of Jack Walls. So he's back in the Chevrolet as well. I'm guessing he was able to get the win last week. He's going to try to stick with what's been working for him. So I say Jack Walls running just inside the top 10, looks like in the 8th position. However, you just noticed on the back of that car a little bit as he went by, it looks like he got a little bit of rear end damage. May have got a bit too big of a push from somebody. So I'll try to get a better look at it. Let me jump over to the number 55. We can get a good look here. Yeah, you can see that back end dented in just a little bit. I don't think the car's going to be any worse for wear due to it. So what Jack's got to be careful about is to make sure if he's going to try to save that fast repair. Again, they do have the one fast repair here tonight. So if I'm the 83 of Jack Walls here, I make sure that fast repair is off, and I go ahead and save that for a later time if I need to. And at the same time too, there's no sense sitting and waiting for any damage repairs to that car either. As you can see, that car definitely able to hold on to a draft with the damage he has. So yeah, I think that's going to be the strategy call. If I'm in that 83 car's position, that's kind of the approach I would take. And I need to mention, so we talked about pit stops. We actually have our first set of pit stops happening, and it's the drivers that started from the pits: Kevin Fries, Raymond Rittenauer, Travis Turnmeyer, and Rob Malone. They're going to hit the pits now. This is coming to lap 17. So say they are going to, again, we mentioned they cannot pit here and stay on the lead lap, so they are going to try to lap down here for the moment. So what these drivers are going to be banking on is for this one to stay green and to see how they cycle out. However, I'm looking right now, I see a few cars still sitting in the pit, so I think we might have a little bit of trouble here. That I don't think they had the pit stop cycle they were looking for. You see the 51 and the 52. They've been able to get out cleanly, but unfortunately, I believe Kevin Fries, Raymond Rittenauer, I believe they had a speeding penalty on entry, so they're having that stop and hold right now. And you can see the second group, they're in the pits now. Eric Laurie, the 1 of Gabe Butler, as well as the 8 of Dude Conrad. So definitely could play a big outcome in the race. Oh, you see Dude Conrad doesn't get the pit entry he needs either, so I say he's going to now get stopped here. So yeah, you can see actually definitely has overshot his pit stall. Now is able to get in there, or trying to get in there. So yeah, yeah, actually, doesn't seem like iRacing's one of servicing that car here. The pit crew's not want to service the car, so not at all what he was looking for there. So, and that's now left the one of Gabe Butler. He's now having to leave the pits here off on his own. So right now, things not going to plan for that group up front in the points here. So now the question is going to be, when will this group up here pit, and how will they cycle through? Right now, there's 16 cars in this pack. So we're going to have to keep an eye and see if anybody's going to drop off this time by or not. Looks like they all stay out still. So looks like they're going to about the distance of their fuel mileage here. Again, right now, a lot of the field now all spread out. So you see Raymond Rittenauer, he's been able to lock up here with Kevin Freeze. Right now, they're showing 2 laps down. And then we'll jump back a little bit to some of the other guys here. So you got the one in the 51 here. They're going to be working together for the moment. Let's say now that they're going to get locked back on together. It's Travis Turnmeyer and Gabe Butler. So that's going to work out well for the two of them. I think they're also going to be picking up the 52 of Rob Malone. That's going to help them that pace out as well. So we'll keep an eye. But we're going to jump back to our leaders because I suspect pit stops are going to be looming here. Yep, here they come. This is going to be the trouble spot, though. These drivers got to be extremely careful to first get down to speed, as you say, one, get a little bit loose on entry. I think he held on to it, though. So I think they may have gotten away with that pit entry here. And we have most of the field, actually. The only two that stayed out are the 81 of Todd Merkel and the 83 of Jack Walls. So they're going to be, I believe, coming in this next time by, which will definitely benefit them having a nice and clean pit entry, not having to worry about the rest of the field around them. So it's going to make life a lot less stressful for these two. And the other thing they got going for him is he's going to be able to steal a little bit of draft here before he pits from that number 8 of Dude Conrad. So it's going to help Todd just get that little bit of extra speed from the 81 cars. He's going to jump into the pits now, I suspect. Yep, here he comes. And I suspect we're going to see Jack Walls as well. Here they both come into the pits. Again, got to get that thing woed down from about 210, or probably about 220 plus. It looks like they've done a good job of doing that. Alright, so we're going to jump through. I think it's going to cycle. We'll see where everybody else cycles through, but right now it looks like Brandon Pasalacqua, he's the first one out of the pits here. He's got Corey Lane that's going to be coming up right behind him. They've got a slight gap here, as you can see over the group behind them. Looks like led by the that 24 of Taylor Litzenberger. He's got Jim Brooks with him. So we'll see how everybody's able to, again, cycle through all this pit stop window here. As I see the 81 and the 83, they're coming out together. You see Jack Walls has not used that faster pair. I think that is the right call there for him. So now if these two can kind of get locked on together and make some speed here, this could really help their chances tonight to stay in this lead pack here as they exit the pits. And say there's a huge speed difference right now between those in the pits and those on track here. So we're going to see where everything cycles through, because I believe we're going to be seeing the leaders come by with a pretty big head of steam here in just one moment. Yep, and there they go. Alright, so I believe that advantage is going to be Brandon Pasalacqua and Corey Lane. They're going to cycle back through here 1-2 with the draft. That way they can work with each other here. Again, that's pretty much what you're trying to do, is just work with the people you can here. Saying everybody else's job here, say third and fourth, it's going to be Taylor Litzenberger, Jim Brooks. Say same thing for them as well. They're going to try to lock on and push here to try to see if they can close that gap to those two in front. Say right now Jack Walls, he's kind of off on his own for just a little bit. It won't take long. He'll get some help here shortly, I'm sure. So I'm going to say we're going to have some cars behind him and not too far of a distance. Obviously Todd Merkel, who's with him, but you also see the 88 there, the 48. Of Michael Spell and James Ledford, so would suspect we'll see them catch up to them. And then we mentioned some of those guys that started from the pits, so say they're slowly starting to make their gain forward here. So Travis Turnmeyer, the wrong car there. Sorry, there's Travis Turnmeyer. Gabe Butler, say they're still about 10 seconds out of lead, so they have made some gains here. However, a couple guys trapped a lap down here. They're going to try to find their way, I think, to get back to the tail end of the lead lap. And that's going to be Kevin Freeze, Raymond Rittenauer, and Eric Laurie. So you can see Kevin and Raymond here. Eric's right there in that group as well. So I suspect we're going to see these three try to push their way back to the front and just at least get themselves on the tail end of the lead lap should anything happen further up in front of them. You'll see the 8 of Dude Conrad. Again, we mentioned for Dude, just for whatever reason, just didn't get his car where the where the pit stop would happen for him, so that really hurt him, losing a ton of time, so that just puts him into lap down now. So right now, four of those teammates we mentioned now, unfortunately, all trapped one down here. So right now, that 8 car, the first of those, traps 1 lap down here. As you can see right now, again, kind of got 2 little packs of 2 here, trying to keep their distance ahead of the packs behind them. So looking at lap times, Brandon Paslock, Corey Lane ran a 43.6 that last time by. Jim Brooks, Taylor Litzenberger ran a 43.4, so about 2/10 quicker for the second group here. So I think they're going to get just about into that window where they're going to start picking up that draft. I think we're going to see those lap times pick up dramatically. And then, of course, the next group's going to be, they're all starting to kind of find their way back together here as well. So we'll watch the lap times. I can see the gap shrinking. I can see the interval closing down as well. You can see it's down to about 7/10 of a second. And yeah, sure enough, Jim Brooks and Taylor Litzenberger ran a 43.2 to the leaders 43.9. So 7/10 of a second. You can see now they are right there. So it's actually, so yeah, they're going to be right there. Now the question is, do they stay locked on here and try to work together as a team, try to keep that gap from those other guys behind them, or do they use that momentum to the top? And so looks like for the moment, looks like Taylor's going to stay locked on here. So I think we're going to see this kind of a 4-car group here work together. And you also see the 8 of Dude Conrad. He's going to try to close back that gap as well to them. And I think it looks like they're all going to find their way back together, because here comes the 83 of Jack Wells with Todd Merkel, Michael Spell, and James Ledford. And actually last time around, as you can see, their fastest car on track, the 44 of Dwight Plesh, who's in this pack right here. So we're going to have a pretty big group again after this pit stop cycle's done. Probably about the top 13. I guess maybe top 12 it looks like. I believe Paul Fletcher's going to be the last of those to hold on to this group. And unfortunately, I think Kyle is just going to fall out of this lead pack here. So yeah, so this is going to bring about 12 cars into this lead pack again in just another lap or two. Of course, haven't forgotten the second group as well. You mentioned Travis Permeyer, Gabe Butler. It's like they're starting to, they picked up a couple other friends here. As you can see, you get the 2 up front, but you also have the 57 now, Brian Pierce, Robbie Richards, Roy Grandy's in that mix as well. So they've got a decently sized group here. So right now they're running in the 43.7s, it looks like, for them. Leaders are 43.6. So unfortunately, what's happened though is their team is split up just that little bit. And so they don't have quite the drafting prowess that they may have had previously. So unfortunately, all those little, those couple miscues for some of those drivers on the pits, on speeding on entry, and then missing their pit stalls, things like that nature has really hurt this group here. Oh, as I said, a caution is out. Trying to see where it is. It looks like it might be the 90. I don't know. I think 90 of John Burrow may have just been coming out of the pits. But I see everybody else moving. So that's going to be a big break for some. And not what others are going to be looking for. It's going to be a huge break for Rob Malone. Rob was about half a lap behind out on his own. But we're going to be under caution here at iRacing Superspeedway. First caution of the night. Let's go see what brought out the yellow. And from what I'm looking at, it looks like, yeah, it might be the 90 of John Brills. You'll see, again, just the difference in the banking on the track here versus the apron here. And you can see just gets loose here down on the apron, trying to get up to speed after his green flag pit stop. And I'm saying just does kind of a half spin, but I think it was close enough to the leaders here. And actually, it might be right there when he was trying to get it straightened back out. But you'll see as he gets straightened out, here comes the leaders. I think that's what brought out that caution there. So like I mentioned, I don't see anything else that happened on track. So again, a lot of drivers are actually going to be very grateful for that caution to give themselves an opportunity to get back into this one. As I say, the field's all slowing down here for the pace car. And I believe when it's all cycled through here, that number 8 of Dude Conrad, he's going to be in position to get that wave around. So he's going to get back onto the lead lap. However, I suspect we will see Kevin Freeze, Raymond Rittenauer, Eric Laurie. I suspect we will see them take a wave around here as long as the rest of the field pits, I should say, first. I suspect we'll see those 3 take a wave around to get back onto the lead lap themselves. All right, so actually it's not going to pan out here. So as you can see, the 83 of Jack Walls, he's going to stay out, and so that's going to do here. That is going to trap those three drivers, Kevin Freeze, Raymond Rittenauer, and Eric Laurie. It's going to trap them all one lap down. And say the other thing that's going to hurt them as well is the fact that they didn't pit there as well, so they're still going to be also short on fuel. Because again, with this being a super speedway here, track that's 2 miles or larger, iRacing's got the quick pit stop cycle here, so say the pits are going to be closed this next time around. So they are probably suspecting they would see the 83 pit, and since he did not, they're going to get trapped that lap down here. So I think also it looks like I'm saying actually one more, Dean Wilkinson, he's also going to stay out as well. However, you can see Dean would have cycled behind those two that were a lap down. So yeah, it's going to definitely shake things up here a little bit. And on the pit stop front, Corey Lane, he's going to win the race off of pit road. So I believe he's going to cycle through. He'll restart in the 3rd position in that number 10 machine. And then behind him will be the 81 of Todd Merkel, and then the 21 of Brandon Pasalacqua after that. So say it's kind of a mixed strategy of tires and fuel here. Some opting to take fuel only, some taking right side tires, it looks like, and then others taking 4 while they have the opportunity under caution. So yeah, a big mixed strategy right here on the pit stop side of things. I'll have to wait and see as I see those two hitting the pits now, along with Thomas Holder. So like I mentioned, I'm a little nervous to say if there's going to be a penalty for them pitting here the second time around. So I believe the lights are going to go off on the pace car. Indeed they have. So we're going to line things up, back up, double file here. So you're going to have Jack Walls, Dean Wilkinson on the front row. Second row is going to be Corey Lane, Todd Merkel, and then Brandon Pasalacqua and Taylor Litzenberger. Alright, so we had a few drivers top off as well, including Thomas Holder, Gabe Butler, Travis Turnmeyer, Paul Fletcher, Rob Malone, Brian Pierce, and of course Judah Conrad, who just got the wave round. He pitted as well. Kevin Freeze, Raymond Rittenauer, Eric Laurie, they also pitted there on the 1 to go. I'm a little nervous if there's going to be a pit penalty for that 25 and the 87 for entering a closed pit. Like I mentioned, the way it works here is pits are open for everybody that first time around, so with them not pitting that first time, we'll have to see what happens there. Hopefully they're able to not have to be penalized for that, so we'll wait and see. As pace car is heading off, and it's going to put it into the hands of the 83 of Jack Walls. Looks like he's going to wait for the green flag to come out, and we are back underway. Jack Walls is going to lead the way here and gets a good start there. So it looks like the 10 of Corey Lane, he's locked right back onto him. Dean Wilkinson lost a little bit of ground here. The problem for him is he's going to be trapped on the top side on this restart. While they still build up that speed, the low place is where to be on this restart. So you can see Dean was able to finally get himself down. And so here comes Jack Walls. He's going to jump to the top. And it looks like it's going to open the door here for that number 10 on Corey Lane. I actually see the 8 of Dude Conrad. Is in the pits. So I'm not sure what happened there with the 8 car as well. I don't know if that's a penalty being served or not. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. But right now, it's showing as he's just now leading the pits. We'll see him probably just kind of at the bottom of the screen here. as yep, there he is there as the field's going on by. So unfortunately, that's going to put the 8 back a lap one more time here, and unfortunately also going to lose the draft. So not sure what happened to the 8 car there, but not at all what he was hoping to have happen, of course. Now the question is going to be for some of those that stayed out long, one of those being up on the top side of Dean Wilkinson, of course the 83 Jack Walls as well. They're going to be having to pit here in probably about 6 more laps, I would say, roughly. They're not going to have a ton more before they have to make their green flag pit stops. I think what they're looking at was the fact that even if they had pitted there, they would still be on the same pit cycle, so that might be why those drivers opted to stay out. And also, I mean, it could be a strategy, again, where maybe they're just trying to prevent their competitors from getting those laps back, and saying, I mean, again, the more you can keep away from you, the better. So that definitely plays into the role in some drivers on their strategy calls, where it's like, well, hey, if I can keep someone trapped a lap down, I mean, that's going to make it that much better for myself. So we'll keep an eye and see how everything cycles through. Right now, though, say Corey Lane back out in front, leading the way here. I say Corey definitely on par here to try to lead the most laps for the race tonight as well. Like I said, we were joking about trying to give him some more TV time just because of what happened on Wednesday when we had an incident with each other, which is completely out of my doing. But Corey's doing all the work himself here, just controlling this race tonight. Starting to see a little bit of a move on the top line there. It's actually being led by the 25 Kevin Freeze again. Kevin right now first car 1 lap down. He's got the 00 of Thomas Holder right behind him. Now we saw the outside work a little earlier with the 44 and the 55 working together. So I would not be surprised to see this push to the front here work for that 25 car. And what this could do for Kevin, though, of course, is to get himself on the tail end of the lead lap. And of course, should there be a caution during that process, that would give Kevin pretty much a free ride around the track and get his lap back the old-fashioned way, if you will. And right now, Kevin's got a lot of momentum in that 25 car. Just needs a little bit of a bigger push to kind of seal the deal, if you will, as he's now side by side with that number 10 of Corey Lane. You see they kind of lost a little bit of contact between 25 and 00. Now they hook back together again. But that little bit of loss, so you can see it's pushed Kevin now back to about to the 21 of Brandon Pasolaco. So lost just a little bit there. So let's see if they can get re-locked on together and make that second push again towards the front. As right now he's slowing pretty steady with Brandon Pasolaco, but here comes the 10 Thomas Holder again, going to get locked onto the back of that 25 and push him down the backstretch. Looks like they're also picking up that number 4 machine of Paul Fletcher. He's going to join the party here as well. As we just crossed the halfway point of this race, we have 37 laps remaining. So now you got Paul Fletcher up there, also bringing Roy Grandy and the number 18 up on the top side. So the more cars you can get lined up here on the outside, the better chances you have to get that momentum going. Also see the 44 Dwight Plush. He's going to join the mix as well. And here comes that outside momentum one more time. We'll see if that number 25, Kevin Freeze, can grab the top spot. He does. So this puts Kevin Freeze at the moment as the first car 1 lap down. Oh, as you see, Corey Lane just touches the apron at the entrance, but everybody's able to recover there and get it bottled back up there. So right now, Kevin Freeze here showing obviously leading the race on track. However, this puts him at the tail end of the lead lap. However, as you can see now, the 4 Paul Fletcher giving a big push to Thomas Holder in the 00. So that could wind up putting him back to being the first car 1 lap down here. And I mentioned those that stayed out that last caution flag, Dean Wilkinson and Jack Walls. They're on about lap 19 and 20 of this fuel run, so I would suspect, like we mentioned, they'll probably have to pit here in just a few more laps. This will get them in their window to make it on 1 more stop afterwards, whereas the rest of this field here can run about 10 more laps. which will get them down to about 25 to go, which again, they'll still need to make a stop, but I believe it'll be a much shorter stop if my fuel calculations here are correct. Now you see Paul Fletcher there jump way up top here. It's going to now let the 18 of Roy Grandy, I believe, take back over now on the top side, being the lead pusher. Actually, it looks like the 0-0 Paul Fletcher, or Thomas Holder, he's able to sneak back in that inside line here, just in front of the 24 car. And that, again, that is Taylor Litzenberger, so he's able to get down to the inside. So that outside line really started to fizzle out here. So that 25 Kevin Fries, he was able to work his way up to the front just at the right time here, because now he's going to be able to lead the way. And like I mentioned, if there's a caution, he will be able to cycle through as the race leader, or cycle through as the first car on the last car in the lead lap. Not have to worry about taking a wave around. He'll be able to actually pit with the leaders as well. Again, this is crucial for him. We talked about the points battle going into tonight. It was a really close fight between the 25, the one and the 87. So right now, the one car's on the lead lap in the 13th spot. You see, I think Gabe right now kind of in cruise control right now where he is. However, his competition though, Kevin Fries in the 20th position, of course, leading this pack, tail in the lead lap. And then Raymond Rittenauer in the 87 car. He's fallen off the draft here, as I didn't even catch that a little earlier. So that's going to also be a big trouble for him. And trying to take a look, looks like he might have some damage to that car as well. We'll try to take a better look here. That right front corner, yeah, I think that right front corner's got some damage to it. So yeah, actually heavy nose damage to the 87 Raymond Rittenauer. So definitely big problems for him. He's going to need a break as well to kind of get himself back into contention. So right now the lucky dog position would be in the hands of that 071 of Eric Laurie, should we have a caution come out. All right, so actually, as I said, here comes the 83 of Jack Wallace. Here comes Dean Wilkinson. They both are going to hit the pit road. Let's say they both get down nicely down the speed here. So they're pitting here with 32 to go. And again, we talked about that 20-lap window, so I believe that'll allow them to get to about maybe 11 or so laps to go before they need to make their second stop or their final stop, I should say, of the race. Again, while the rest of the field here, they still got a few more laps that they can go, and they'll be able to probably get down to about making their stop. Once they make their final stop here, getting to about that 5 or so to go mark, or maybe they just decide to take a splash of fuel. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So right now, Corey Lane still leading the way. Brandon Pastelacqua, Todd Merkel second and third. So I think at this point in the race, Corey's probably locked up the most laps led for this race. So you see the 83 and the 55, they do come out together. That's a critical point for them to do. That way they can get locked back on and try to start making as much time as possible. That's the best way to try to keep up with the draft after your pit stop cycle. Because again, you know these next group of leaders are going to be pitting probably in about 5 or so laps. So if you can kind of hustle that car yourself, that's going to go a long ways for you as well. We'll jump around here a little bit. Don't really talk too much about Kyle Hess. See Kyle's back into this lead pack as well now, working his way up on the top group. Oh, as you see Paul Fletcher, big move to get to the inside there. I think Paul getting ready for that possible pit stop cycle. He wanted to make sure he was down to the inside line. So he made an aggressive move to get down there. So right now Kyle Hess in the 15th position here, but most importantly still in the lead draft on the lead lap. That's going to be exactly what he needs to have happen. Unfortunately, they have lost the 57 of Brian Pierce in this lead draft. And actually looks like, again, also Brian looks like a little bit of nose damage to that 57 car. Take a look at the back as he goes by. Back looks clean. But yeah, so unfortunately, 57, he's also fallen off this lead pack here, which is going to have Rob Malone right now in the 52 car. Well, now actually the 86. These two are the last cars on this lead draft here, on the lead lap, though, most importantly. up in the 6th position is the 76 of Jim Brooks. Jim started in the 21st position. So I was about to say is probably the highest climber of the race, but actually we've been mentioning him earlier, the 00, Thomas Holder. Thomas is from 22nd up into the 4th position. However, those two definitely the highest climbers so far of the race this evening. So I said, still got 2 more pit stops to go, and that next one going to be coming here in most likely about, I'd say 3 to 4 more laps most likely. But the question is going to be, do you think about cycling through a little bit off sequence to try to, again, not have as big of a group entering the pits, though? I think if you can, you try to break it up into 2 packs. Maybe you kind of play the opposite strategy of some of your competition, where if you see that a group calling that pit stop, you say, okay, I'm going to go 1 lap later. That way I can get that clean entry and exit. And here they go. Here comes our first strategy call. I'll say almost like I was expecting it there. Well, definitely was not. Oh, you see big wiggle. You see the 1 car, Gabe Butler. He gets down to stop. I think they all got down to speed and time. So that's going to be Gabe Butler, Travis Turnmeyer, Rob Malone, and Eric Laurie all hitting the pits together here. So this is with 27 laps to go. A few laps shorter than they had to on fuel. But again, we've seen the strategy calls before, so they're going to jump into the pits now. Oh, you see one of them overshoot the pit stop. I think that was Travis Turnmeyer, unfortunately. Just overshot his pits a little bit there. So that's going to cost him a little bit of time here, but we'll see if he's able to recover. Yeah, gets back going quickly there. Unfortunately, Rob Malone, I don't think he's going to be able to keep back up with them. So now here comes the lead pack, though. Again, I think we'll be seeing them work their way up. Big move there from the 25. Kevin Freese gets back in front of that number 10. I'm sorry, of the 21, Brandon Casalacqua. I'm trying to find where Corey Lane went there. Oh, there's Corey up on the top side. So Corey actually fallen to the back right now after that, after leading so much here tonight. So obviously while we're watching the pit stop, may have missed what happened there on track. So I think what we're seeing right now, though, I think Kevin Free is trying to be aggressive to make sure he can stay as that first car on the tail end of the lead lap in that number 25 machine. Alright, this is lap 20, coming to lap 21 on the fuel leaders again. I don't think it'll be too far away until we see those leaders hit the pits. As they see the one in the 51, they're off the screen a little bit. Like I said, now they're going to be trapped back a lap down. Also actually have Eric Laurie with them as well, so they'll have the 3 of them here working together again, trying to make the most time they can. But what's most important for them is that they're able to get in and out of the pits together and start drafting immediately. I thought looked like a few people were thinking about pitting, then changed their mind, and they decided to pit after all. First taker there is going to be the 44. Yep, here comes 44 Dwight Plush. Also see the 18 of Roy Grandy. They both hit the pits. I think I saw one maybe try to pit and may have missed it. I think it may have been the 86 of Kyle Hess, because looking at speed, yeah, he's still building speed there, so I think he overshot the pit entry, had to react and get back out on track, so that's going to really hurt his speed. It's going to definitely cost him some positions. So based on that, I would suspect we're going to see a lot of drivers here about to pit very shortly, if not this time itself. So we'll keep an eye on the lead pack, and yeah, here they come. And again, this is the danger part for these drivers. Try to make sure they all can get slowed down, not get into each other. You see the 24, he makes some contact, and oh, there it kicks off right there. You see the 48, the 76, they make contact. Say some of them reacting to that number 24 car, losing it under braking. So that was exactly what we were worrying about with a larger pit group here coming all together. So we'll see. For the most part, went decently, but let's say obviously really caught out Jim Brooks there and the 48 of James Ledford, unfortunately. You see Kevin Freese, he is down and away quickly in that number 25 car. And saying he's going to have a little bit of a gap here, so we'll see how he's able to cycle through. And so now the question is going to be, again, for those that are coming out of the pits, how they're going to cycle through. But from where I'm standing here, I believe that number 151 and 071 should be able to pretty comfortably clear the rest of the field that's just leaving the pit road now. So we'll see how everything's about to cycle through here. And you can see, yeah, they just passed Todd Merkel there. And so there's a double zero of Thomas Holder, and so they're going to have a pretty good head of steam to get around him as well. And so they're going to play this out perfectly. And actually what's going to happen here, that they're going to be able to line up together here. And what their goal now is going to be is to try to break that draft of that double zero, which I think they've gotten far enough ahead of him. So now they're going to try to tag on to that number 25 of Kevin Freeze, and saying that's going to help their cause out as well. So really great pit stop by those three in their stop. You can see right now Thomas Holder had a good pit stop, just not quite enough there. And you can see he separated himself though from that group behind him of Todd Merkel, Brendan Pasalacqua, and the 12 Robbie Richards. Alright, so here comes those three here. You're going to see that Kevin Freeze is going to try to tag right onto the back of them. That'll give them that 4-car group here as we're coming across here for 21 laps to go. Also see the 44 Dwight Plush in the pits to say, don't believe this is a scheduled stop for him, unfortunately. So now again, this is going to be where we start playing kind of lap times, as these top 4 drivers have about a 4-second gap over those that group behind them, which is starting to form just that little bit better here. Say Todd Merkel still leading that group with Brendan Pasalacqua, but like you said, you can start seeing now it's actually a 4 versus 4 here as they run. So let's see, again, still one more pit stop to go though, and saying that window actually would open here very shortly, and probably about another couple laps or so. These drivers could consider making their final pit stop for the race. The only other strategy I could see though is those drivers that may have ran it long there in fuel, like Brandon Pasalacqua, Todd Merkel. Is there any chance that these guys can go full fuel save mode and maybe stretch it where they could? I don't feel like they can go 20 more laps after pitting now, but crazier things have happened. So it would be interesting to see if maybe Brandon Pasalacqua, Thomas Holder, or Robbie Richards, maybe they tried Todd Merkel as well as in that same boat. So right now these 4 all pitted at that last pit stop. So it's a potential. Say if someone tries to go really aggressive fuel save, maybe it doesn't come from them. Maybe it comes from someone a little further back, the 4 of Paul Fletcher. Although as I'm looking here, I believe Paul's unfortunately kind of solo here. He's got Michael Spell in the 88 with him. We do know Michael's a really good fuel saver, so Michael could be one of those to maybe try to throw a gamble here on the end as well. However, back up front, so you can see the 4-car group here still working together. Say 2 of which who are on the lead lap, 2 of which are either on the tail end or 1 lap down. So right now the 2 leading the race are that 51 and the 1 of Travis Turnmeyer and Gabe Butler. Saying right now the 071 of Eric Laurie is showing currently as the tail end of the lead lap. And actually here they come. We talked about the potential strategy, and there it is right here. These 3 going to be pitting here. As soon as they got in their window, they wanted to make this green flag pit stop. So you got 3 of them here working together. So you see Eric Laurie wanted to be part of that mix as well. So one thing it did do though is it's allowed it's allowed Raymond Rittenauer to get locked up here with his teammate, that 25 of Kevin Freeze. So right now Kevin's still showing on the tail end of the lead lap. Raymond unfortunately showing still 1 lap down, but so obviously with a teammate now they'll be able to hustle that car a little bit more, and that's now cycled the lead over to that 81 of Todd Merkel with Thomas Holder, and then Robbie Richards and Brandon Pasalacqua. So now I'll be curious also to see is with that shorter pit stop, could that allow these 2 here? So it looks like unfortunately they have separated themselves a little bit from the 071 of Eric Laurie. He didn't have the stop he was hoping for. As you can see, big slide for the 71 car. I think he was able to keep it down in time to make sure he didn't get too high for the pit exit. I'm sure those 2 are trying to hop onto the group right there. But what they'll be able to do here, though, is they will get back up to speed here, get locked on together. But what we'll do here is we'll watch off the back of that 51 car, and here they come. Talk about lead pack here, again led by the 81 of Todd Merkel, and they're about to get right to the back of them, which again this could get them trapped again, put them back one lap down again. with the momentum that these leaders have. And yep, exactly what's going to happen. So you see Todd Merkel, he's going to jump to the top. You also see actually Jack Walls, they're not too far behind. He's got Dean Wilkinson, Corey Lane, they're working their way back up to the front as well. They might be able to get their way back to this group here. And again, I see a few drivers here. You see the 21 of Brandon Pasalacqua. He's jumped to the top side here. I just wonder if anybody's going to be willing to try to stretch that fuel. I don't know if it's realistic or not. I don't know the field numbers obviously as well as these drivers do, but it's definitely a potential we could see happen. So where things stand right now, the first two drivers that pitted there to make it to the end are the 1 and the 51 of Gabe Butler and Travis Turnmeyer. However, where they are now on track, they are trapped 1 lap down between the two of them. So we'll have to see if that's going to pan out for them or not. I believe everybody else that's currently on track here still is going to have to make a green flag pit stop at some point in this event to make it to the end. We'll have to see if anybody else is going to try any pit strategy, whether maybe see if they can stretch it out. And you do see, though, that Jack Walls and Dean Wilkinson and Corey Lane, they have caught back up to this lead pack here. So, again, great job by them. So right now we've got the lead 7 cars here are all now in this group right now with a couple cars a lap or more down, kind of mixed in a little bit. The other thing we haven't mentioned is even if these drivers, some of them may still have to make a pit stop, but again, if you can save as much fuel as possible here, you can shorten that pit stop, or maybe you can take a couple gallons less than some of your competitors, and instead of having a, let's say, a 4-second pit stop, 5-second pit stop, or maybe, I should say, maybe instead of having a 9-second pit stop, you have like a 4 or 5-second pit stop, and if you can get those extra 3 seconds to come crucial at the end of this race. So well, again, we'll have to wait and see as they still have 14 to go, be 13 to go here at the line. Right now, though, again, Todd Merkel now leading the way in that number 81 machine. He's got Thomas Holder with him, Robbie Richards there as well. And then in 4th place is that last car in that main group, the 21 of Brandon Pasalacqua, with the 1 and the 51 of Gabe Butler and Travis Turnmeyer. They both pitted there under green once their window opened for fuel. So they're good to go here to the end. I was about to ask if they want to maybe not risk getting trapped a lap down in case of a caution. And here they go. They're going to jump to the top side and see if they can draft their way past the lead pack here and get back to be at least on the tail end of a lead lap should a caution come out at an inopportune time for them. Here comes the 83 of Jack Walls. Jack's going to hit the pits here with 12 to go coming around. So we'll see. I say a little surprised at 55. He didn't pit there with him. But actually what this has really done is it's really separated again the 10 of Corey Lane. He's lost that group now along with, oh, actually, no, we've got big damage to the front of that 10 of Corey Lane. I think there may have been a checkup there on the pit entry. So take a look at the 55 as well. I kind of suspected Dean would have pitted there with Jack. I'll say take a look. Yeah, Dean's got some pretty heavy damage to the back of his car as well. So we talked about the potential caution. I think that may have been exactly what just happened, avoiding that one. But with that happening now, you see the 1 and the 51, they have been able to get to the front here, and right now are now showing back on the tail end of the lead lap. See as the leaders come around here, what's going to happen is you're going to see there goes that 83 of Jack Wells. Jack just made his final pit stop. Also see the 55 and the 4, they both pit. That's Dean Wilkinson and Paul Fletcher. A little surprised Corey Lane didn't pit there. I kind of suspected he would pit just for the sake of with the damage he's got on that car and just try to minimize the time loss. But Corey's going to stay out in that 10 machine again. He can still go another 7 or so laps on fuel. So we'll keep an eye on Corey to see if maybe he's got something in mind for himself. But right now, though, everybody's holding pretty steady here with 10 laps to go now. And now, actually, here comes the 10 of Corey Lane. He does hit the pits. And so right now, we've got a really big gap, though, right here. We've got the top 4, but then we have to jump back to the 18 of Roy Grandy. So you can see Roy here's got a couple of cars now with him. He's got Michael Spell and Jack Walls. But unfortunately, Roy here is about 11, 12 seconds off the lead as things run at the moment. And then you have to go a little further back again to get to the next group. which you got Rob Malone there, Jim Brooks, Kyle Hess. Again, we saw Jim there. He got caught up in that pit stop incident when they started getting stacked up a little bit. And unfortunately, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, so that's what cost him so much time as well. And actually, as I say that, we have leaders in the pits. You see Todd Merkel there, Rob Malone, Todd Merkel, Thomas Holder, Brendan Paslockwood. They all do pits. So Brandon not going for the stretching fuel strategy. He is going to hit the pits here. That's going to cycle the lead now over to that 12 of Robbie Richards. I'll say Robbie again. He can still go a few more laps here on fuel. He's only on lap number 15, so he can go probably about 5 more safely, I would say. And I'm saying he does have the draft here with those 2 in front of him, so I mean he could just kind of tag on here and then pit when he absolutely needs to. So we'll see what the strategy is from the 12 car. Nope, he's going to jump into the pits now. So Robbie went 1 more lap than those other guys here, and so now he's going to get it slowed down. Looks like he got nicely stopped there for the pits, which should now cycle things over to the 18. Well, was going to cycle him to the 18 of Roy Granted, but he hits the pits as well. So we'll have to see who the next leader is going to cycle through as. I think it's going to be the 52, Rob Malone. Yeah, there he goes right now in the 52 car. You see Jim Brooks there with him as well. So we'll see. Again, at this point, it doesn't seem realistic that anybody can stretch the field to the end. And you can see these drivers all kind of really spaced out with each other as well. So it's going to be curious to see how everybody cycles out and where everybody lines up here on track. We're going to jump back to the 1 of Gabe Butler, because this is going to be the important thing as well, is once everybody makes their pit stops, where do they cycle through? So you can see there's the 1 in the 51, the not too far back there. You see the 81 and the 00. They've been able to tag right onto the back of that group. Also got to find the 21. Where is Brandon in all of this? Looks like actually Brandon did not have the stop he was looking for. He is a fair bit back there. So Brandon didn't have the pit stop he was looking for, unfortunately. And now we got to find the 12, Robbie Richards. We mentioned Robbie just made his pit stop, and there go the leaders on him. However, I think he's going to be okay. I think he'll be able to get up to speed, grab onto their draft. He's going to have a little bit of draft from behind as well from the 81 and the 00. So right now I think this is going to make it a 5-car battle here for the lead, for the win I should say, as we've got 7 laps to go. As you can see, Todd Merkel, he's going to clear the 12th car. You saw Thomas Holder try to squeeze in there, couldn't quite do it, so unfortunately it's going to possibly drop Thomas back. We'll wait and see as they cycle through right now. But so that being said, though, Rob Malone actually at 52, he's just hit the pits there in that car, which now leaves the only driver left out on track in that 76 of Jim Brooks. So he's gone 18 laps since his pit stop. He can probably go safely, I'd say about 2 more, 3 more. I have a feeling he just isn't going to have enough to save it to the end. I think at this point, after what he had happened during that pit stop cycle, he's just going to try to stretch it as far as he can, and then make that pit stop at the last opportunity. So we'll see. We've seen crazier things before, but I'll say right now, though, the last car here that's on track that's yet to make that final pit stop is that 76 car. And actually, as I say that, there goes the 90 of John Brill. He's going to hit the pits as well. Now we got to jump back over here as we have 5 to go. But you can see Jim's got about a half a lap lead over this group in front of him. And so this is going to be the battle here now. So you've got the 4 teammates locked on with each other. But again, that's a very mixed situation here. So you've got the 1 and the 51. They run 1, 2 in position. Right now showing second and third, of course, as the 76 is yet to make his final pit stop. However, though, the 25 of Kevin Fries, Kevin is 1 lap down at the moment. The 87 of Ray Wilson, I believe, is 2 laps down right now. Oh, actually, we got trouble in the back. You see the 12 and the 00 here. So no caution as of yet. They both get pointed in the right direction. I think somehow we stay green. That could have played a big role in how the race finished up here tonight. However, heavy damage, unfortunately, for those two. So let's go see real quick what happened there between the 2 of them. But again, like I mentioned, somehow caution did not fly from that. So you can see him coming out of the turn. Oh yeah, just kind of hooked on each other. I think the 00 thought the 12 was going to kind of stay a little lower, and then I think the 12 was trying to grab in line. So unfortunately, that's where they made contact with each other, and just heavy hits for both of them there. So yeah, as you can see, the 00 still trying to limp his way back to the pits. I say 76 to Jim Brooks. He's still on track here. He's going to cross here, 3 laps to go. This is 21 laps on this run. I don't know how far you can go. I think he's going to try to find out, though, in that number 76 machine. Might be trying to save fuel while he's behind that 18 of Roy Grandy. But again, I suspect he's going to have to make a late splash of fuel at the end, which is right now, say, still holding up front, though, is that the one in the 51. I say what they've got going for them right now is the fact that they've got some teammates in between themselves and that 4th place car of Todd Merkel. And actually right now, unfortunately, Todd's kind of in the odd man out spot because he's lost his help that he could have possibly had. And actually, as I say that, here comes the 76 of Jim Brooks. He could not go any further. He's going to hit the pits here. Coming to 2 to go, so he's going to get his splash of fuel to the end. It's going to, of course, cycle him out of the lead, as this will become the battle for the lead and for the win, as the leaders are going to be coming across here. As we do have 2 to go as the 76 crossed, and now here comes the rest of the field here as we get 2 to go between that 51 and the 1. So right now, as they cycle through, say it's going to be first, second, and third is the 1, the 51, and then the 81 of Todd Merkel. What I was trying to say was, unfortunately, Todd's kind of in no man's land here because he's pretty much surrounded by the teammates of the 1 and the 51. So you obviously don't suspect you're going to see the 25 or the 87 make any moves to put their teammates in jeopardy of not getting the win here this evening. So we'll see. I mean, I'm trying to think if the 57 is part of that team as well or not, of Brian Pierce. But right now, I think, unfortunately for Todd Merkel, he's going to kind of be off on his own. We're just crossing the line here, getting the white flag is out. So Gabe Butler still leading the way over the 51 of Travis Turnmeyer. And that's going to be the next question. Does Travis try to make a late move, maybe off of turn number 4, going to the finish? So I think he's going to have, I think he'll be safe enough to be able to make the move. But we'll have to wait and see. As you can see, coming around Paul Fletcher, that's going to put Paul a lap down. Say just the way this race has gone here, we've got now only, I believe, 11 cars, 10 cars actually looks like here now on the lead lap. So it's going to minimize, I'd say, the bad points day for Kevin Freeze as best it can. But here they come off of turn number 4. You see Kevin Freeze, he jumps to the top, but right now looks like that 51 car is going to stay, and we'll see if he makes a late jump to the top. He does not, though, so it's going to be Gabe Butler getting the win over Travis Turnmeyer. Todd Merkel going to bring it home in that 3rd position. I'll jump back over to that 4th spot. Corey Lane, Brandon Pasalacqua, they're going to have a side-by-side battle at the end. Corey just gets it by a nose over that 21 of Brandon Pasalacqua. Jack Wall is going to bring it home in the where's Jack? In the 6th position. Michael Spell in 7th. Robbie Richards going to recover to still finish in the 8th spot in that number 12 machine. You can see the damage still on that car, but was able to bring it home still. And Roy Grandy in the 9th spot in that number 18. And then filling out the top 10 will be the 86 of Kyle Hess. However, getting the win tonight is going to be that number 1, Gabe Butler. Say he was going in with the points lead. He's going to stretch that lead significantly. Say after troubles for both of his teammates, the 87 and that 25. Burn it down. We will go ahead and find our top 3. Let's give us just a moment. We'll get everybody pulled in here. All right. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to jump over to that number 81 of Merkel. I'll say Todd bringing it home in the third position, started in the sixth spot. Saying actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think oh no, actually it was Corey. So I'll say we'll bring that number 81 of Todd Merkel in here. So I'll say obviously at the final laps there it was going to be pretty much a tough one there. Say it was kind of you versus the world there of those teammates at the end. But say obviously it's still a great job for you tonight getting through the field there and getting your pit stops in and out perfectly. To be able to even put yourself in contention to be in contention for the win there tonight. So I mean, I'll say take us through it. It was obviously kind of a tale of two races with the first round, then that caution in the middle, caution in the middle, and then from there it's kind of the strategy to bring it to the end. Take us through your night there, Todd.
Well, the strategy tonight was don't make any mistakes, don't get into trouble going into the pits, don't get into trouble coming out, because even on new tires, these things are a little sketchy on pit road. They're a little sketchy on the restarts. So I was just trying to be extra careful there on the restarts and getting in and out of pit road.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, obviously we know the pit road, the entry is difficult. We talked about that at the beginning. But even the exit of the pits, I mean, also obviously with these cars going 230, 240, with all the banking in the world, but then when you're exiting the pits, you've got nothing to work with really. So I'm sure it's just that much more difficult to try to, because again, you're trying to go from I think it's like 60 in the pits to about 100 or 240. So to try to get your car back up that quickly, I'm sure it's just also got to kind of keep your mind in control. It's like, hey, not yet. Wait till you get to the back before you're really mad at there.
Yeah, it requires a little bit of discipline, particularly getting off of pit road, because down on the apron there where it's flat, they are really, really skatey. And I was leading before we went in for that last pit stop, and those guys wound up winning or getting by me by whatever it was, 1/10 of a second or something like that. And I would be willing to bet that I gave that time up being extra careful. But like they say, better second than reckon, or in this case, third.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good job to say you're one of the few that were able to get in and out there unscathed. But I mean, yes, I mean, you ran a near flawless race, obviously. Saying I'm sure you're a little bit caught by surprise at the beginning, like I was too. Where say you had a good starting spot, starting from 6th, but wound up in the front row there after the strategy from the other guys. They're deciding to start from the pits there, so.
Yeah, well, that definitely worked out for them. And, where you start at this racetrack doesn't mean much. You can get such a run that you can go buy 7 or 8 cars in one straightaway. And apparently that's what they did. You only got to do it once and you're in the front again.
Yeah, you're exactly right there. But, I mean, again, a really good race for you tonight. So you kept yourself in contention and position all race long. And like you said, you didn't have any of those mistakes that we saw some of the other drivers make, getting those pit stop penalties on entry or the exit mistakes and things like that. So yeah, so great job though, Todd. Saying I know you've got plenty of people that support you on that car, so I'm gonna try to get a couple better looks at it so we can get some good views of it. But definitely want to give you a chance to give thanks and shouts to those guys that helped bring you here.
I appreciate that so much. Ross Pistons, they do the pistons on my real race car and have been incredibly helpful. They're doing 2 sets for me right now. Driven lubricants, fantastic transmission fluid and oil and rear end grease. And if it's liquid, they make it for your race car or your daily driver for that matter. And then, of course, Liberty's Gears doing all the transmissions on the real race car. And I think it's just a fun kind of thing to be able to support them with this program.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to be able to say everything they do for your side. So it's like when you get to do this stuff on the fun on the other side of things to kind of repay the favor for them. So yeah, it's a lot of fun being able to be in those positions.
Absolutely. And you guys at Green White Checkered TV and the Area 51 team, guys do a fantastic job of putting this entire program together. And I really enjoy racing with y'all.
It's a blast to have you, Todd. Again, great run tonight. I say glad to see you up here in the podium. We get a chance to chat with you. So look forward to catching you a few more times here before this the season 6 is up.
All right, I enjoyed it. We'll talk to you soon, I hope.
All right, that is the number 81 of Todd Merkel getting that 3rd place tonight Like I mentioned, it's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I feel like, because he had some pretty solid teammates there that were working together at the end to get that get the 1-2 finish for them. Getting that second place tonight was that number 51 of Travis Turnmeyer. You and Gabe, you were the ones that were able to kind of minimize those mistakes throughout the race. Obviously went off strategy starting from the pits at the beginning, but then from then on out, just going for the pit strategies, kind of going off sequence from the rest of the field and making the most of it.
Yes, sir. Trying to stay out of trouble and stay away from everybody. Yeah, unfortunately, the rest of the team had a little bit of trouble on and off pit road there.
Yeah, you can. We talked about when you guys raced here last time a few weeks back, but I'm sure you can attest to it as well. When you're going about 230, 240 coming out of turn number 4, and then you got to go from, I don't even know what the banking is here. It feels like it's like 40 degrees, but to go from that to the flat and then get down to 60 miles an hour over the course of it's not very far to be able to get back down to the speed there. Just. And I was saying, I think that's why you were saying you kind of try to stay away from everybody and kind of pit off some sequence from some of those guys. It obviously worked well, and just unfortunate, a couple guys got bit, just maybe a little bit too aggressive on the entry or just didn't quite get the braking points quite perfect.
It takes everything you got from the time you come down. We've actually started backing it up, starting laying off coming out of the exit of 4 there, getting ready to come down on it. And if you notice, we split our group up tonight. We had 7 of us. So instead of trying to bring all 7 cars down at one time, we split them 4 and 3. Try to minimize anybody hitting each other. And, the car is kind of all over the place anyway when you're coming from them speeds, trying to get down. It's if you hit it just right, you're right there at 65 every time. And if you miss it by just a hair, you're going to be over. It's such a small area for a mistake there. But
yeah.
Finally got my tail back up here. It feels like it's been a while since I've been in the booth for this.
Yeah. So you did an awesome job tonight. So you were, like I said, you were one of the few to kind of minimize the mistakes. I actually don't think you had any tonight. Obviously starting up front as well. Schedule start up front, saying you guys obviously had the strategy to start from the pits and then try to just be ready in case something happened, and it's didn't quite pan out that way, obviously with no real big incidents or anything like that brought out any yellows, but yeah, we could definitely see that the lap times you guys are doing what you do best and doing that draft together to be able to close in those couple tenths a lap there before the pit stop cycles started coming into play.
Yeah, when you run that strategy, you got to run them really hard. Guy pushing's only going to get 1 or 2 laps pushing, as these, you're running these cars at such a high RPM here that it does not take them long at all to get to that bowling point. We've learned from them mistakes too. You can blow one up very quick here.
Yeah, I know these. Yeah, you're right. With these cars with the speeds being fully unrestricted, yeah, you have less margin of error for sure. Is a really good way of putting that for everything here. Actually, for the pit entry, for the drafting and all of that. So you still, let's say you and Gabe still find your way up to the front at the end. Let's say it's just one of these days you're going to be that one to be the leader coming to that checkered where. Hopefully you got that person behind you is going to be as dedicated to them as you are, that you've been in these situations.
Kevin jumped out there, and I could have pulled out from Gabe and probably give him a little run to the flag there. But he's leading in the points, and he's my teammate. I've missed a couple of races. I'm not really in contention for the points. I'm not going to take it away from one of my teammates. If I'm pushing him and I can get a P2, I'll take that P2. I would like to have a win one of these days, though. Maybe it'll roll around here. I'll snatch one of these days.
Yeah, so you keep putting yourself in contention like you have been. And say it won't be too long, I think, before we get that winner's interview with you. But again, a great run tonight, Travis. We definitely want to give you the floor though. Anything and shouts you'd like to give for that run tonight.
Give these shout outs, Team Boot Knocker, all these boys over here, and Area 51 for putting this on. Thank you, Gail, for Green White Checker TV putting this on for us. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, so definitely fun to be a part of it. So you guys put on great shows week in week out through all 3 series. So it's fun. It's fun to be a part of it. So like I said, there's some days I definitely miss being able to compete with you all, but so at the same time too, I definitely enjoy kind of bringing the other side of things as well with it. So yeah, great run again, Travis, and say like I said, look forward to seeing you in victory lane here shortly.
Yeah, appreciate you. Good night.
All right, so that was our second place finisher, that number 51 of Travis Turnmeyer, starting in the 3rd position, bringing home in 2nd. So we got one left to talk to, and that's going to be that race winner of the number 1 of Gabe Butler. And saying that's going to be exactly what he needed for the points this evening. Try to stretch that gap just a little bit more, say over the number 25 and the 87. So all of you guys had that strategy from the beginning of the race. Unfortunately, didn't quite. A couple mistakes kind of hurt Raymond and Kevin. So you were able to keep it clean there, and say from there, once you put yourself in contention, kind of didn't look back from the end. It looked like.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate there for the fellas. I think they got caught speeding going into pit road, and that really killed you. Luckily, myself and Travis were able to keep it clean, so pit strategy worked out.
Was that something you guys had been pretty much planning on from the get-go, or were there any discussions about if you wanted to try, if you were pretty much set on doing that, or if maybe you had other ideas of what you were going to want to do?
We kind of had a chat about it before the race. There was a little bit of confusion. We thought they might have changed the fuel. We weren't sure, but anyway, we decided we were going to go on a short pit strategy again. And we did, and I think that's when the fellas got caught speeding. And then a caution came out, I think, shortly after that. So we changed it up a little bit, but myself and Travis decided we were going to short pit them the next 2 stops, and it just happened to work out. Got a little bit lucky.
Yeah, so now's the next part too was the pit stops strategy at the second half of the race, where deciding when to make those final pit stops, where we saw you and Travis basically, once you were in your window comfortably, you guys jumped into pit, whereas we saw everybody else, they looked like they pretty much ran it out, and then in theory, of course, just took enough to make it to the end there. It wound up being pretty close there. So you had for a little bit, you had obviously the 81 on Todd Merkel. You did also have a few others. I think it was the 12 of Robbie Richards and Thomas Holder. Unfortunately, those two made contact with each other while they were in that group towards the end there. I was kind of joking at the end. Unfortunately for Todd, he was kind of between a rock and a hard place, because it's you're in a good spot, you're running third, but then he's like, okay, I'm gonna try to make a move. But when you look to see who's surrounding him, and I say it's a bunch of your teammates there. So I'm guessing you were feeling pretty comfortable for it kind of coming down to the end between yourself and Travis.
Yeah, I saw Todd was behind us, and I think we had a lap to go, and I asked the fellas, I said, are they going to try and make a move or what? And then I realized Ray and Eric and Kevin were back there. So, I mean, we really looked out, even though those guys were a lap down, still teammates. So, I mean, kind of feel for Todd a little bit. he really didn't have anywhere to go, but a good finish by him and a great push by Travis there at the end. Definitely big shout out to Travis for that.
Yeah, so that's how these races are. I mean, you gotta have the teammates and the cooperation, and so you guys. I mean, there's days where you guys kind of will finish 1 through 6, 1 through 7. Tonight's night. Say obviously didn't go to plan for everybody, but you guys somehow wound up kind of in the same group together, and were able to make the most of it to kind of secure that 1-2 finish for your team as well. So. I said obviously going to be a really good points night for you coming into this one with 2 races to go after tonight's race. So say definitely going to put a little bit of pressure off of you, maybe give you a little bit of breathing room, because there's definitely a really tightening up between yourself, Kevin, and Raymond there coming down to that wire.
Yeah, I mean, really, just if one of us wins it, that's great. I mean, just once a teammate wins it, that's the big thing. I mean, we kind of, live by the sword, die by the sword type of thing. So, whichever one of us wins it, I'll be happy with.
Well, so you can feel pretty confident it's going to be one of the three of you. So, I'll say before I let you go, of course, definitely want to give you the floor here. Any thanks, shouts you like to give for pulling off that win tonight.
A big shout out to the teammates and Travis there for pushing all the way to the end, and of course Area 51 and yourself for putting on the show. It's always enjoyable, like I said.
All right, great win, Gabe. Say congrats. Say way to say you did everything you needed to, no mistakes to bring it to the checkered flag. So enjoy it, and I'll say we'll see you in 1 more week.
Appreciate it, Gail. Thanks, buddy.
All right, so that is our race winner, that number 1 of Gabe Butler. Winning as the points leader is going to extend that lead a little further. So say while we have that, we'll start pulling up those results. So Gabe Butler getting the win by just over a half a tenth of a second over Travis Turnmeyer. Todd Merkel brings it home in third. And Corey Lane, as we talked about, qualified fifth, kind of became the impromptu pole sitter there. So he had a good run all night. I believe most likely led for sure led the most laps for the race as well. Still brings it home in the 4th position. Obviously not quite the result he was hoping for, but still a great run for him nonetheless. Saying definitely plenty of TV time. So say hopefully that helps a little bit, Corey. Say apologies again for Wednesday for getting into you there though. Riding our top 5 is going to be that 21 of Brandon Pasalacqua. And then 6th through 10th, you've got Jack Walls, Michael Spell, Robbie Richards, Roy Grandy, and Kyle Hess. 11th through 20th, I say Kevin Freeze made the best of a bad day, still getting in the 11th position in that 25 machine. You got Brian Pierce, Paul Fletcher, Dean Wilkinson, Jim Brooks, Rob Malone, Raymond Rittenauer, unfortunately, in the 17th position. Then James Ledford, Dwight Plush, and Eric Laurie ran out our top 20. And 21st through 25th are Thomas Holder, who was up for a good chunk of this race. Just unfortunate contact between himself and that 12 sent him into the pits, having to use that fast repair. And saying that was pretty much all he had in store for him. John Brill in 22nd, Taylor Litzenberger in 23rd, then Dude Conrad and Jimmy Crow 24th and 25th. So with that, that's going to finish up tonight's race at iRacing Superspeedway. Again, I want to congratulate our top 3 finishers tonight, Gabe Butler, Travis Turnmeyer, and Todd Merkel. So they all ran a really good race tonight. It's different strategies, but they were all together there when it counted at the end. But when it's all said and done, though, that one, Gabe Butler able to keep those behind him at the end. Get the win here tonight, going to extend that points lead going into the final 2 of this 12-race season. So we'll see how that's going to pan out between those top 3 once those next 2 races are finished up here. So congrats again, only with the 1 caution, 75 laps. Again, great job by all the drivers here, racing hard but clean. It's been a lot of fun to see them put the show on. As you can see, that number 1, Gabe Butler, doing the burnouts until that engine expired. So he definitely wanted to make sure he celebrated hard this evening. So until then, we'll be back again on Tuesday night for the Indy Series. As I should have my partner in crime, Steve Gottschalk, with me again over there. And also, of course, for those that ran that 24 Hours of Daytona, I say congrats to all of those who did run it, regardless of if you won or top 3 or wherever you finished. I'll say just to be a part of that was definitely a blast to do. So I had a lot of fun on my end as well. So I'm definitely tired from all the racing, but it was definitely a blast to be a part of a team doing that together with everybody. So we're able to get an Area 51 car together with a green white checker TV as well. So a lot of fun to be a part of that. So congrats to those that were also a part of that event. So until Tuesday night, though, as always, please, if you can, try to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and have a good night.